Let's take a look at what's going on with Dogecoin today, guys. All right, so in my last video, we were talking about, we were talking about a bunch of stuff. It was a long video, but one of the things I mentioned that we were in this falling wedge pattern, and we had resistance, and there's resistance right here. It wasn't perfect, but we also had resistance right here, maybe a little bit even right here. We were basically in this falling wedge pattern, and we finally broke this going to the upside a while ago, maybe like a couple weeks ago or whatever. And that's when I started kind of looking at the chart more. This is kind of when I started making videos a little bit more, because falling wedge patterns, once we break that trend line going to the upside, it's a bullish pattern. So we broke that trend line going up, and ever since then we've been basically trending up. We got this nice little run, and then we got rejected at the 180 moving average. I like watching these moving averages. This is the 180 moving average. We got rejected right here and started heading down again, but we got support in this area and started pushing up. Right now, yesterday, we got a nice little run to the upside, and we came into that 180 moving average, and check it out, that's exactly where we're having some trouble at. So, but I still think we're in an uptrend because we have support giving me this uptrend right here. As long as we're above this trend line pushing to the upside, I'm still kind of looking at this next Fibonacci retracement level sitting at around 0.139. Also the previous resistance up here. In these falling wedge patterns, when we have these falling wedge patterns, I like to, the targets are usually the top of the wedge, but I like to target the previous resistances. Those are the three spots that I'm looking at. So the first target, well, there was like 4 targets. The first one was this previous resistance right here, sitting at around 0.128. We hit that target. We came up, hit that target, and then we kind of have been cooling off a little bit, and it looks like we might be retesting this trend line. We might come back down, test it, and then hopefully we can get a bounce to the upside and actually break out of this 180 moving average. And then the next target would be this Fibonacci retracement level, this previous resistance as well. So we have the Fibonacci retracement level, we have the previous resistance, and that's sitting at around 0.139. Yeah, so I think, and like I've been talking about, if we could break out of this Fibonacci retracement level, which we have, then I'm looking at the next one, and that's why I like watching this Fibonacci retracement chart. So okay, so let's stick to the targets though. If we could break out of this one, then the next one I'd be looking at is the 38% level, and this previous resistance up here sitting at 0.173. And if we could break out of that, then the next spot would be the top sitting at around maybe 0.22, or even if we could break out of this Fibonacci retracement box, then we can maybe we could even go higher. I'd been looking at a while at like this area over here, this previous resistance sitting at, let's see, 0.335 approximately, but we really have to break out of this Fibonacci retracement box before we can start even like thinking about this levels. So yeah, so the other thing I was going to explain is the Fibonacci retracement charts, just in case you're not familiar. When we have a nice little run, or when we have big runs like that, and we think we hit the top and we start trending down, then we can set up Fibonacci retracement levels with the Fibonacci tool. We drag from the bottom of the trend, or the bottom of the run, to the top of the run, and that gives us levels to watch as we go down. And like, so let's say we start heading down here, we could sell, like let's say we think we hit the top, we have a trend line, we break it, we start to head down, we could start selling and putting in limit orders at these Fibonacci retracement levels to dollar cost average on the way down. And that's why I like watching them. And then also when we start bouncing on them, then we could use them as potential targets to sell again and keep trading. So like I was saying, if we break out of this one, then we could start targeting this one. And it depends, we could still go higher, maybe we come up here, but they act as resistance, as you see right here. They came out into that level right there, and then got rejected and head down. We found support on the bottom right here, and that's where we bounced to the upside. So that's why I like looking at those Fibonacci retracement levels. And the next one is at 0.139. Let's see if we can come up to this level, or okay, let's see if we could break the 180 moving average. If we could break out of that, then I'll be much more confident on this target up here. And yeah, so let's see what happens. But I do in general, like generally and like a bigger long term, I do like the way we broke this trend line going to the upside, that big huge pattern that we kind of formed over the last like year or whatever. We had that nice run, and then we started heading down, dollar cost averaging on the way down, and then we're breaking it going to the upside. Now let's see if Dogecoin can pick up some steam again. The other thing I've noticed with Dogecoin though, like you have to kind of be careful, but like we get these little pumps and then it kind of fizzles out. Pump, fizzle, pump, fizzle, pump, fizzle, pump, fizzle, pump, fizzle. So like we could be in like this sideways thing right here where we get these nice little pumps and then it kind of fizzles out, and then pump and then fizzles out. So I mean, it really just depends. Let's see what happens. But I like the way these are probably like my favorite patterns, the falling wedge patterns, because I don't know, they usually perform pretty good. So let's see if this one can perform as well and break to the upside. Let's see what else. So yeah, we're on this little uptrend on the 4-hour time frame. We also have support right here and support right here. And let's draw another uptrend, something like this. So we're basically in two uptrends right now. We're in this one, we're in this uptrend like that, and then we're also in this uptrend. And I also drew one on like the 1-hour time frame. I was on the daily time frame just now, and I was also talking about yesterday how if we break, okay, so there's this other uptrend on the 1 hour too. We have support. Let's go ahead and draw that uptrend, something like this. And I was saying if we break this uptrend going, actually there was another one. Let's go to the 5-minute. Sorry. We had another one like this, and I was saying if we break this one going sideways, then I'll be looking at the top and I'll be looking at the bottom. And let me draw the actual trend lines real quick. Okay, so we have that top right there, and then we have the bottom, something like that. And we did break both of them going to both sides. We kind of dipped below it a little bit right here, and then we also dipped above it, or kind of broke above it a little bit right here. But in general, it looks like we're kind of heading down. It looks like we're coming down and maybe cooling off, and maybe going to retest that trend line that I was talking about. So let's go ahead and delete those. It does look like we are kind of going below it though, so we might be cooling off right now is I guess my point. So let's go ahead and delete these because we kind of broke those. We broke this one as well. We broke this one on the 1 hour too. Okay, so we had this uptrend, looked at the top, looked at the bottom, and then it broke to the downside. So now we could get more confident that it is maybe coming down to retest this trend line. I think that's what I'm kind of guessing. But there's another thing. So we're watching trends on this channel, and okay, so we broke that trend. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. But we're on a downtrend. So when we're looking at downtrends, when it's going down, we want to look at the tops. We want to look at the resistances, the tops, and then we'll draw a trend line with those levels. So let's go ahead and draw that trend line, something like that. Okay, so until we break this trend line going to the upside, then we can count on it continuing to go down. And like I said, maybe retesting this trend line, and then maybe we can break out. But yeah, the trend is your friend until the end. So once we actually break the trend, then that's the end, or it could potentially be anyways. We're getting declining volume. So once we break out, hopefully we can see some more green volume pop up just like we did in this area, and then we can get more confident that it's going to start going up. It might even just start going up right now, but I mean, it just really depends. That's why we're watching these trends though. This is just kind of seeing what it's going to be doing, or what it's doing right now. And like I said, we're basically in a small little uptrend. This is the 1 hour time frame, but then when you kind of zoom out on the 4 hour time frame, we're still, and the daily, like I was talking about, is we're still on this uptrend, and we're still on this uptrend. So it really depends on what time frame you're looking at and what kind of time frame you're trading on. So like if we go to the daily time frame, like I was talking about, this big huge falling wedge pattern, this is a bigger pattern, bigger target, take longer to happen. So but when you go down to like the 1 hour or the 5 minute, then this is faster, and the trades happen sooner. Like you have to watch it like more. You have to kind of keep your eye on it. And like I was saying, we look at when we broke that trend, we'll look at the top and the bottom. If we break that one going to the downside, if you're watching the 5 minute or whatever, then that'll tell you that we're kind of heading down, and we can kind of then you can play off that if you choose to. So let's say from the bottom right here, since we've been going down, that's around 2.6%. Not very much, but something. But yeah, we have this downtrend. Let's see if we break that, going to the upside, and continue this momentum heading up. Let's take a look at some of the other charts right now, like we did yesterday. So we have the Dogecoin to Bitcoin chart, and I talked about this one yesterday. And we have resistance. We came up and got resistance on that one again, and then we have support. So let's go ahead and drag these lines out a little bit further. It's kind of like a falling, I mean not a falling triangle, but like a downwards triangle. I think if we could break this line right here going to the upside, that's going to be good for Dogecoin. In general, if this chart is heading down, then that's good for Bitcoin. And if this chart starts heading up, that's good for Dogecoin. Yeah, so if it's heading down, you want to be in Bitcoin. If it's heading up, then you want to be in Dogecoin. And this, like I said, this is Doge to Bitcoin, so DOGE BTC, and then this one is on Coinbase. But so yeah, that's another way to kind of see which coin you should actually be in, Bitcoin or Dogecoin, depending on what this chart is doing. While this is falling down, it's better to be in Bitcoin, and when it's going up, it's better to be in Dogecoin. Dogecoin's been moving pretty good lately compared to a lot of other altcoins, and even Dogecoin or Bitcoin. That's why I like trading Dogecoin, is because it has nice little moves. Let's go take a look at Bitcoin real quick too. Yeah, so this is what I was looking at yesterday. We have resistance, and it looks like we're getting a little bit of resistance right here again. Let's see what happens on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's gonna kind of lead the way usually. And then we have support. This trend line is really coming into play. We're basically in this falling channel pattern, and we had a uptrend. We broke going to the downside. We found support on the 23%. Like I just talked about, the Fibonacci retracement levels. We had a nice little uprun, or a nice little run to the upside. Get the Fibonacci retracement level, or chart, or yeah, tool, should I say. Drag from the bottom to the top, and then that gives us levels to watch as we head down, and that we find support. Usually, a lot of times we'll find support on these Fibonacci retracement levels. So we came down, hit that 38% a couple times, came down, hit the 23%, got a bounce on that, came down, almost hit, we like kind of were in between the 38 and the 23 right here, and then found support. But here we came down, hit that 38%, and then got a bounce to the upside. Came down, almost hit it, but we didn't quite, got a bounce to the upside. Right here, we're bouncing on that 23% level. And this is just another example of how these Fibonacci retracement levels come into play. So yeah, we're bouncing to the upside right now, and we're testing this downtrend, or resistance trend line, should I say. If we could break that going to the upside, then here's some of the targets that I was kind of looking at. The first one would be this channel target. So like I was saying, we have like this little channel right here. If we break it going up, then we could target from the top to the bottom of the channel, just to be conservative. Let's see, do something like that, drag that to the breakout, and we're looking at a target of approximately 81,931. And then if there's another pattern in here kind of, where when we have a big run and then we start going sideways, that's a bull flag, depending on if we're going up or if we're going down. It could work either way. Like if you're going down and then you start having consolidation, it's the same thing. Then if you break this going to the downside, it's a continuation pattern, they call it. So yeah, I mean, the other target would be this one up here. So the bottom of this little run would be something like that, and then that consolidation. So you would, if we break this going to the upside, another potential target could be we drag from the bottom of the pole to the top of the pole. It's not a perfect bull flag in general though, because usually these are like going up, and then they don't consolidate for that long, and then it starts to head up. This one's been consolidating for a while, but potentially another bull flag. Let's go ahead and drag this up to the breakout just for fun. Let's say we broke out right here. We could be looking at 113,532 approximately. If that turns out to be a bull flag. If not, then, I mean, we first have to break out of this Fibonacci retracement box. Then we could start looking at these targets. Yeah, and we also have to break this trend line going to the upside. And like I said, if Bitcoin's doing good, then Dogecoin's probably going to start doing good, or start doing better as well. Yeah, let's see what else. Let's look at the daily 9 moving average. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete these lines right here. We're still on those uptrends, but we're going to focus on the 9 moving average right now. Like I've been talking about as well, we have the 9 moving average right here. And once we break it going to the upside, like right here, we broke it going up. When we break it going to the upside, then we can find support on it, and it helps us push us to the upside. When we break below it, then we get resistance on it, and it pushes us down. This over here was a better example right here. We broke below it, resistance, resistance, pushing us down. We broke below it, resistance, 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 pushing us down. Now, right here, a couple days ago, we broke above it, and we've been getting support on it, pushing us to the upside. In general, I think it's good to be above this 9 moving average. Look how like we're nice and above it, as opposed to being below it. If we're below it, then I feel like we have to wait until we actually break through it, like we did right here. We were kind of testing it going sideways and broke through it. Right now, it looks like we're clearly above it, and we're testing that 180 moving average. That's the next thing that I want us to break, is the 180 moving average, which we're getting resistance on right now. But maybe let's draw that trend line again. Maybe we just have to do something like this, where we find resistance right here, come back down, test that trend line, and then get a bounce back to the upside. Those are some of the things that I'm looking at. Let's see what else. Bitcoin dominance, I guess we could look at real quick, like we did yesterday. And I was talking about this in yesterday's video, that, you know, Bitcoin's been doing really good in general ever since down here. We've just been trending up, 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 up. So it's been pretty good to be in Bitcoin. But once, okay, so we have resistance, or support, should I say, support, giving me this bottom trend line. If we break this going to the downside, then that's going to be probably good for the altcoins. Usually when we start hitting down on this chart, that's like altcoin season. This chart is basically that Bitcoin is like the one in control, moving up, doing the best out of everything. But yeah, we also have this little rising wedge. A rising wedge is technically like a bearish pattern where it does drop to the downside, but it's not impossible for it to break up and then you know, get a nice little bull run. So yeah, we're basically watching this top and watching the bottom. Once it breaks to the one side or the other, then we can get more confident whether it's going to be an altcoin season or it's Bitcoin all the way. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at on this chart though. But it does kind of look like it's setting up for a rising wedge, which could potentially do something like that. Like I said, in a bull market, this is not it's not impossible for it to break to the upside and continue to head up and actually get a nice like pump. So we'll see what happens with that. In general though, yeah, I mean, like I was talking about yesterday and today, the falling wedge pattern is really what's making me like what's going on with Dogecoin right now. We have this falling wedge pattern. We broke it going to the upside. We're kind of going sideways a little bit, but in general, we are kind of moving up. And right when we broke this is when we started to do that upwards momentum. So let's see what happens. Next target is going to be around, if we continue to head up, next target is going to be 0.141 approximately, and then the one after that would be 0.173. Let's see if we can continue this momentum though. We need to break this 180 moving average. We need to, yeah, that's the main thing that I'm actually watching right now, is that 180 moving average. I want to see us break through that. We already broke through the Fibonacci retracement level sitting at 0.115. And like I was talking about in my other videos, we need, that's, once we do that, then I'm going to start looking at this level and this level. We broke this one, or we came up to that one. Next is up here. Let's see if we can continue the momentum. Let me know what you guys are thinking though. If you guys like the video, hit the thumbs up, and if you want to watch the last video, check it out right here. If you're new to trading, check out this playlist right here. It'll help you get started on TradingView and kind of the basics. Let me know what you guys are thinking though, and if you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.